Hey everyone! So with the most recent chapter of My Hero Academia pretty much marking the end of the mini coma arc, I've developed a theory that I think if it does pan out, it'll be absolutely amazing. I'm not going to say much about it during the intro for spoilers' sakes, so if you're not caught up to the most recent chapters of My Hero Academia, be sure to read them and then head on back. Also, be sure to hit that subscribe button, and when you click the notification bell, make sure you change your notifications from personalized to all. That way you never miss a premiere here on the channel. Other than that, let's head inside and grab ourselves a drink. Alright, welcome to the bar, folks. So, since I made my video about Deku learning from the Vigilantes, I've had a couple of theories just floating in my brain that I just want to verbalize. One of them has been the possibility of UA shutting down, two has been the information that Deku has learned over the past couple of chapters is going to drive him to leave UA, and three would obviously be that Hizashi and Inko Midoriya force Deku to leave UA. And if any of these situations play out, what will it mean for Deku? Will he travel the world to learn from various heroes? Will he stay within Japan and focus on honing One for All? Either way, during this video, we're going to discuss one thing. If he does leave UA, he's gonna need teachers. The story is called My Hero Academia, so if there's one constant, it's that he's gonna need people around him that will nurture him into the greatest hero ever. So with that being said, let's head over to the wall and talk a little bit more about those heroes or supports that may appear to assist Deku if he's forced to leave UA, or if UA just shuts down altogether. Alright, so first things first. If Deku leaves UA, that could mean he loses the accessibility that heroes have to upgrades and support gear. Deku's uniform was destroyed in the previous battle, and if he leaves UA, that means he can no longer use their facilities, which means no more Mei, no more Air Force gloves, no more Iron Souls, nothing. This would mean that Deku needs to contact someone who isn't affiliated with UA or the heroes for new support gear, which brings us to support hero number 1, Melissa Shield. Melissa debuted in the very first My Hero Academia movie. We find out that Melissa is daughter to David Shield, the ex-sidekick to All Might when he spent time living in America. Now, I know the argument that always comes up when mentioning the people from the movies is, are the movies actually canon? Well, Horikoshi has gone on record to say that the movies are indeed canon, which means Melissa Shield is definitely inside of the universe and ready to appear at any time. And if that's the case, planting her in one of the first movies was a brilliant idea. And for this theory, if Deku ends up leaving UA, whether by force or by his own accord, it is totally possible that he hits her up to complete that total gauntlet of hers. And my main reasoning behind this fact is what I stated before: no UA, no benefits. So I would imagine that if Deku needs augments or enhancements to his hero outfit that's probably in tatters, he needs somebody that won't immediately report back to the school. So the biggest option out there for him is absolutely Melissa Shield. I don't want to say that her gear is a lot better than Mei's anyway, but her gear protected Deku's body compared to Mei's gear, which couldn't withstand the power, and in turn, his arms re-broke again. Also, with his arms breaking again, he's probably going to need equipment that further assists his movement now. And with that being said though, Melissa covers the technical aspect of his journey. She could provide him with a wealth of gear to protect him further as he continues his journey to take down All for One. As for my theory as to who could be the second person to help out Deku, I think that it could be somebody that we've never even met before. Maybe it's possible that he learns from one of the families of the past successors. If the second and third users of One for All refuse to speak to Deku and refuse to assist him on learning their quirks, Deku's gonna need to find alternative methods. And I would not be surprised whatsoever if Deku does his research to find a past family member. We've seen that in the past, people like Nana have tossed away their families to protect them from the further conflict. The second and third user of One for All have probably been dead for a substantial amount of time, but that's not to say that they didn't have families. And if Deku could possibly leverage himself against the third or second users of One for All by doing that research and finding their families, I said before in the Banjo video that the identities of these heroes were common knowledge. The only thing that always remained a secret was that they were a bearer of One for All. And it's evident that the second and third users of One for All were obviously not strong enough, to the point where they appointed appoint the 4th successor knowing that that person has a precognitive spidey sense kind of quirk. So look, if Deku finds people related to those people, he can do 2 things. 1, prove to whichever user that it may be that he indeed is worthy, and secondly, he can learn a little bit more about One For All's origin, whether it be about the successors and their quirks along with how they lived, and maybe even Deku shows them that they didn't fail and that their legacy still lives on. And the last people that I'm going to talk about today are the Vigilantes. I know, I said this in 2 prior videos, but I feel like now if Deku is forced to leave UA by his parents or even by expulsion, the loss of his hero license would mean one thing: Deku becomes a vigilante. The Vigilantes themselves have ties to All For One, with the main antagonist of Vigilantes actually being a spawn of All For One, and Knuckle Duster having a personal vendetta against All For One as well, because, you know, he stole his quirk when he was a pro hero. So if Deku does become a vigilante and starts dealing out vigilante justice across Japan, it would only be a matter of time before he lands in Naruhata. Or maybe he goes out searching for people that have connections to All For One. There could possibly be that certain characters in My Hero Academia just point Deku in the right direction to be like, hey, there's a bunch of vigilantes in Naruhata, you should go check them out. So I think of it this way: if he goes on a quest to stop all of the villains across Japan, he isn't going to be able to cooperate with the people from UA, which means that he's going to need to find a new set of allies. That's where the Vigilantes come in. All 3 of them are kind of equipped in teaching Deku how to further his quirks as well. Not to mention, if it's possible that one of his quirks end up being something similar to Overclock, that would give us the opportunity for him to learn from Knuckle Duster himself. And I know, personally, I've always said that I'm really looking for a teacher to show up and teach Deku how to really throw the hands and just become a competent fighter. And Knuckle Duster is more or less kind of just that anti-All Might that we really want Deku to meet. Knuckle Duster mimics All Might in various different ways, almost matching his charisma point for point, but his charisma is more of like a violent type of charisma. He beats the ever-loving shit out of people, and that's a book that Deku needs to start taking a page out of. Not to mention, I've always said that I'm really looking forward to the moment where he has to master float, and the only person that could teach him how to float is Pop and Koichi. And if they're in a relationship because time has passed, Koichi can talk to Deku about what it's like to have the person that you care about attacked and victimized. I mean, right now in My Hero Academia Vigilantes, Koichi is going through one of the hardest moments of his entire life. He's fighting against pro heroes, his girl is in a coma, and the chaos is real. But all of those things that are currently happening in Vigilantes are going to become teachable lessons for somebody like Deku. I mean, if this culminates in Koichi having to be the person that tells him that throwing away all of your friends for their safety really wasn't a good idea, and that you're stronger when you have people that you can rely on, that's gonna be pretty awesome to see. And I mean, yeah, if Deku's mom was the person that presses him to leave UA, Deku is obviously gonna make that harsh decision and just leave. I mean, the kid has voices in his head telling him that he's gonna be the person to possibly end all of the conflict across the world and in Japan. But if he does leave UA and leaves that provisional license behind, there's only one thing that he will be named: a vigilante. And if he becomes a vigilante, we finally have our segue into introducing the Vigilantes into My Hero Academia. They could arguably be the people that Deku relies on for a certain amount of time. It's absolutely amazing. Plus, we all saw how Horikoshi drew Knuckle Duster. If you thought that he looked like Batman here, well, he looks even more ridiculous here. So I am totally ready for Horikoshi to get his Batman on. All in all, I think the next chapter is going to be an absolutely pivotal chapter. The fabric of My Hero Academia is changing dramatically, and I know a lot of people put out videos saying that My Hero Academia might be ending soon, but with this most recent chapter and what's to come, how much left of the story is really to be told? I really didn't think this way until chapter 305, but I think that it's quite possible that My Hero Academia may only have close to like a year, maybe a year and a half left. I mean, think about it this way: if My Hero starts bringing in people from the movies and starts pulling out all of the stops to progress the plot, there's only one real reason why they would do something like that: to end the story. So let me know what you think about my theory down below. Do you think chapter 306 could mark the beginning of the end of My Hero Academia? And do you think it's possible that Deku leaves or even is expelled from UA? Other than that, we're almost at 19,000 subscribers, so thank you so much for your support, and let's push for 20,000. But for now, I'm gonna get out of here. I'll catch y'all later. Cheers.